Are you really listening to this podcast all by yourself? What? Share it with the homies. Hit that subscribe button. Everybody needs to watch the Climate Podcast. Let's get right into the
What are
episode.
you doing?
What are you doing? Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the Climate Podcast. I'm your host, Jamil, here with my co-host, Ibrahim. And today we have on our very special, very esteemed guest, AJ. How you doing today, bro?
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on the podcast, man.
No problem. Well, tell the people about yourself, how we know each other. What's the dealio?
That shooter in 2K history. Let me put that up
That
real
shooter in
quick.
2K history. Never seen
Oh,
a better one.
thank you. I tried my best. Appreciate it. We know each other from basically PlayStation. We met through your cousin, the Hood,
Yep.
which we know half of your family now.
Facts.
And thanks to the Hood. So shout out to the Hood for that.
Yeah.
And mostly playing 2K, having like, that little team thing going on, getting competitive with it. And I'm not from Philly, but I'm from just outside of Philly, from Sharon Hill, Pennsylvania, which is awful now, but it wasn't bad growing up.
But yeah, I mean, for those listening, Dahoud is actually Dawfid's brother. We had Dawfid on in a previous episode. But I remember first time hopping on PlayStation with you guys. Ibrahim was like, "Yo, I got a group of guys on PlayStation." I'm like, "Oh, you know these guys?" He goes, "I've never met them, but I just always play on PlayStation." So this is probably my first time ever having a live face to face talk with AJ, considering
Yeah.
obviously we live in different states. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's definitely definitely a good time. And for all those listening, yes, it was one of those PlayStation parties. I'm not going to elaborate. You guys know what goes down in PlayStation parties. It was
Mhm.
what happens in the PlayStation party stays in the PlayStation party.
Facts, bro. It stays in there.
I know AJ is grinning just thinking about all the
Yup.
stuff we've said. Okay, AJ, I wanted to ask you either maybe if you've played basketball or if you've heard any of these stories, what is the craziest smack talk stories you've ever heard or even seen in person?
So I was thinking about it, and I've never really been like a basketball dude in real life. All right. I'm not one of them 2K guys that like, oh no, I can do this in real life. Nah. I played a lot of football and baseball when I was younger. So like I never really talked smack. I was always real quiet. But I remember this story when I was thinking about this, and it was this one story when I was a kid. I used to play football with my uncle and his friends. My uncle's only like 7 years older than me or something like that at the time. He was the youngest in that family. So crazy story. We're all playing football and we're on the playground. Everybody's like getting messed up, knees are getting scraped and everything. Cause like it's the playground where we grew up, it was more stone than grass. So we're playing like we used to call it like rough and tumble or something. I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys used to play that. And it was this kid, Boo. This was his nickname. I don't remember what his real name was, Boo. And Boo came from one of those houses where basically all hell broke loose on a daily basis. And I guess like football was where he took his anger out. Like just
God.
Oh
he
man.
ran like a man on a mission. He was like beast mode before beast mode. But I was like pretty good. And Boo was a couple years older than me, but he was smaller than me. And he was busting my ass the whole day, just running the ball like crazy. I got tired of it. Long story short, when we did like the kickoff, I grabbed Boo by his like sweatpants, like by the
Yeah.
drawstring, picked him up and slammed him on the ground.
Oh my God.
Kickoff, and I'm thinking like he wouldn't notice. Like, oh, he wouldn't know it was me. I'll just be discreet about it. He won't know.
Be discreet about it.
Be discreet about it. He won't know it was me. He'll be like, I don't know who did it. He'll ask who did it. I'll be like, I don't know, man. I don't know who did it. It's crazy.
Hey, you hit him with
So
the razzle dazzle right there.
Yeah.
basically, long story short, Boo beat my ass. Boo,
He found out it was you.
like, he knew it was me. I don't know how he knew it was me. And I don't know how he got up from that. Somebody might have told him. I don't know how he got up from it. But I gave Boo everything I had. when I threw him against the ground, and obviously Boo could beat the ground because he got back up mad as hell, and he's bloody too. He didn't give a damn. He just wanted revenge. So he's essentially like Steve Smith whenever Steve Smith got mad.
Oh
It
my
was
god.
it was terrible.
Smitty.
It was hilarious but terrible.
Jesus. So you were that quiet kid that if you had your buttons pushed, you wouldn't hold back.
Hell, most of the time, yeah. Yeah, most of the time, yeah. I've always been quiet. I don't like to talk too much about like, I like to get other people to talk. So then
Yeah.
that way I don't mess something up.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes, yeah, you do have to watch out for people like me sometimes.
Okay. Well, you mentioned you never really played basketball growing up. You were more of a baseball and football guy. So what got you into playing 2K?
Uh Kush.
Oh.
I
Shout
met
out Kush.
Kush through Call of Duty through one of Kush's coworkers, Dwayne. So
Mm,
we were playing Call of Duty for the longest time. And I didn't have a PS4 yet. We went back through the Xbox 360 days. So when I finally got a PlayStation, after like 2 years after the PS4 came out, Kush was like, "We gotta play 2K." You know, I used to play 2K here and there, but they didn't really have like online wasn't as popular as it was when 16 came out.
yeah.
So yeah, that's how we started playing. I used to play like pickup games here and there at the Y,
Mm,
but nah, I wasn't coordinated enough to play basketball like that.
okay. Let me ask you
I'd have,
this.
I'd have been the foul guy. I'd have been the guy with all the fouls and stuff. I can give you
The
six
guy,
fouls.
the guy that comes there in the black Air Force
Air
One,
Force Ones, yeah.
30
I get you
rebounds,
six
20.
fouls and like 1 free out of six attempts,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, real quick, just for background, Kush is the illest point guard in 2K
Oh,
history.
oh.
For those who don't know,
Point God,
point guard, I should say. Shout out to him. Literally the illest point guard we've ever played with.
for sure.
So
Should
just want to
really
throw that
should
out there.
as well. So I wanted to ask you a highly debated question. What is the best 2K of all time?
I think for online play, it was 16, obviously, but I want to say 2K10 was just like the best 2K overall. I think 2K10 was the one with Jordan on the front, right?
That was
2K11.
2K11. 2K10 was with Kobe, I
So
think.
2K11, that was a good game,
Yeah.
like just all the way through. I think John Wall was a rookie when that came out. Am I right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
That was a really good 2K, like just as a base game.
Yeah.
But yeah, for online play, 16 was probably like 2K's peak. Even the intro was good.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Dude, I had 2K11 on the Wii. Dude,
Dude.
I used to play all the Michael Jordan challenges and stuff like that on the Wii. Ibrahim had 2K10 on the Wii, and looking back, I don't know why we why we played on the Wii. Like it's just so
How how do you play it on the Wii? Like,
bro.
what you have?
You had the
Remote
nunchuck and you had the remote and you had to use the nunchuck to move and you shot with the remote,
with
bro.
the remote. You actually move your hand forward like this to shoot.
Hell no, man. No, that sounds terrible.
That was horrible. It was horrible. And there were so many like memory leaks in the game. So I'd be like halfway into my career and then it would just delete half of the games and I'd be so pissed because I'd be averaging like 60 points a game and half of my stats are removed now. But whatever. Okay, so we got sidetracked a little. AJ, where did your love of the game come from? Because I know you are an avid 76ers fan. You said you watched them every game during the process. I mean, that's applaudable in its own. So where'd your love of the game come from?
My grandfather, man, like when I was a kid, and I told people about like my relationship with my grandfather, and they're like, man, that's cool. Like I wish I had that with my grandpa. My grandfather he's real weird sometimes. And yeah, it's kind of made me like a lot tougher. But he's like one of them traditional Philadelphia fans. Like they always make fun of like black folks because we don't really watch hockey like that. But my grandfather watches hockey. He watches like specifically playoff hockey. Like here we call them 4 for 4 fans. Flyers, Phillies, Eagles, and Sixers.
Ah,
Mm.
So my love of the game always came from my grandfather. My grandfather took me to like the games all the time. I don't ever remember really getting bought anything.
yeah.
My cheapness may come from him, so I kind of understand it. But yeah, that's where it came. It's really just like sitting there watching with them, learning the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and stuff like that, and
So
seeing like the passion and everything.
you've been to a lot of games. Then I guess the only next question I have is, what is the best performance you've ever seen in a game? Whether it's Sixers or the opponent, what's the best performance you've seen?
That's
By a player.
crazy. I haven't been to games lately. I'm really trying to think. I remember one of the few games like the Sixers games that I went to when I was a kid. I saw Iverson. I got to see Iverson play. I don't remember who they played. It's just
Oof.
like with him, it's one of those things where it's like you just pay attention to him.
Yeah.
Like he was just that damn good where you see him out there and just paying attention to him. And my grandmother actually went to a game with my aunt, like around that time when I was younger, and she said she saw Iverson out on the floor when they were warming up, and she was like, "That's really nice. They're letting somebody's son out there to play
Oh my
on
god.
the floor."
Oh
She
my
really
god.
thought that Iverson was someone's child. But I mean, like they keep saying he's like 5, he's really 5'9". I don't believe that. I've seen him standing next to Isaiah Thomas, little Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
He's bigger than him.
He's
So
listed at like 6 foot, isn't he?
he's supposed to be. Now, Iverson's are some thick ass shoes.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Uh,
So he'll probably get like an extra 2 inches out of those shoes. But it don't matter anyway. He's still bald, man. So anytime you can see Iverson play, that was a great game to be at. You know?
this was something that me and Jamil were actually talking about a couple hours ago. He was showing me a post of Carmelo Anthony side by side, Allen Iverson, and he was saying, I think the post was something about Melo saying, he got his cornrows and he got the headband and the tat and the sleeve and all that stuff because of Iverson. So I was explaining to Jameer, I mean, he already knew this, but I was telling him, like, that Iverson phenomenon where, everyone had the like Mike thing, but that era, like your era of basketball,
Yeah.
was really like that Allen Iverson, I want to be like him type of thing. Like, there's the
Yeah.
famous photo of the little white boy with the cornrows and the tats and the arm. You know what I'm talking about? So
Yeah, I
just
know what you're talking about.
talk a little bit about that and how Iverson really changed the culture. I mean, especially because you're living in Philly, so you saw it firsthand.
Oh yeah.
It was always dope how people from outside of the state felt about that guy. It was crazy because, like, I remember one example that really sets it off to let you know what he was. San Antonio, they had a game in San Antonio one year, and this was like at the peak of like I don't, call it Linsanity, the Iverson Sanity,
Uh,
and San Antonio has like an extra 20,000 seats or something like that they have like covered up by like these awnings or something like that. And they said that was the first time in 20 years that they had to open those seats up when Iverson came there to play them.
Well,
wow.
And I was like, I don't think anybody's ever done that since. Like they talk about how great LeBron is and I guess like Kyrie or something like that, even D Wade. Iverson did that, like he was that damn good. So like, yeah, he was just it was something about and he's emotional, which is something you don't see from a lot of men,
Yeah.
yeah.
which is kind of cool. Like I do think some of it is Iverson likes the sauce a little bit. He likes to drink a little bit, and it makes him really like emotional at
I
times.
love
Because
you,
if you
bro.
Yeah.
saw, he's really like that. If you saw his when he retired officially as a Sixer, I'm almost positive he was drunk at that.
Yeah.
So he was crying his eyes out.
Yeah.
You know?
All-Star game in Chicago, he met Dwayne Wade and a bunch of them, and he was so drunk, bro. I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was also the Kobe thing too, because the whole All Star game was
Oh
dedicated to
yeah,
Kobe.
yeah,
So he was even
Yeah.
more emotional about that too. So,
yeah.
but that liquor also had something to do with it.
I wanted
Man.
to ask, everybody always looks at the fans in Philadelphia as being very cutthroat and very, very passionate. So what do you think is different about Philadelphia fans than everywhere else?
Philly fans are Philly fans are more involved than people in a lot of other cities. Like it's interesting because if you think about it, like Tampa Bay has good teams.
Yeah.
The baseball team is pretty consistent. Their hockey team plays really well. I think they won like a couple Stanley Cups in like the last decade, and then the Bucks have been decent. But the fan base is just not, it's not there for whatever reason.
Some other shit, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, and maybe it's like the weather or something. They care about anything else, but in Pennsylvania, sports is like life. Like, shit, I was barely alive for this, but when the Phillies lost it, and you'll remember this because Drake put the picture of the Blue Jays beating the Phillies on that album cover when he had that beef with Meek. This was from that Phillies lost to Toronto, and Mitch Williams was the closer. It was like 1990 or something like that. Mitch Williams blew that save for that game, and he got death threats. Had to move to another state. Now,
Jeez.
you all got Steve Bartman and stuff like that. So you're not unfamiliar with this. The difference is Mitch Williams is so nuts that he's like a Philadelphia fan. The crazy bastard came back like a year later just because, like, he just loved the city that much and came back, and now he's just like an endeared, he's on sports radio now like every other day in Pennsylvania. Like, that's just how the fan base is just that nuts. But it's something where it's really cool because you can relate to people. If you got a problem with somebody, sports kind of brings them together in Pennsylvania a lot of times.
Yeah. I don't know why that reminds me of Kim Jong Un. So Kim Jong Un used to be in love with the Bulls, the '90s Bulls.
Oh yeah.
He invited the entire Bulls roster to come to North Korea. Obviously, they all said no except for Dennis Rodman.
The worm.
This was a couple years ago when Dennis Rodman was on Instagram, always posting and stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Dennis Rodman decided to go. I think he's been a couple times, and he was on. There was video of him like crying because people are sending him death threats. I'm like, bro, what do you expect when you go to like America's #1 enemy? Like, you expect people aren't going to send you death threats?
I mean, and not to get all track with this, but I think that is kind of funny though that they give him death threats for that, but then you have like, like nationalists and supremacists who are like, oh, they love Germany
Yeah.
and love to represent like, neo-Nazism and stuff like that. That's hilarious, but whatever. But they're going to give him death threats for going to North Korea. It's not like he was going over there telling secrets. Who the hell is trusting Dennis Rodman with American secrets? Like, it's
American secret.
Just imagine Dennis Rodman
last night
being a spy for the
Yeah.
U.S.
Hey, good luck with him coming back with information.
That would be a hell of a movie. You've seen The Dictator? That was awesome.
That would be a good movie, yeah.
Not The Dictator, The Interview, sorry. Yeah. Okay, sorry, we got sidetracked again. So, back to the Sixers. I know the Sixers are a very passionate, maybe even sometimes sensitive topic for you, AJ. Before we get into any specifics about them, is there anything you want to say about the 76ers?
I'm going to try to give you my best because I'm currently a little sidetracked by how much I hate the Eagles right now and Howie Roseman. But I will say this. The NBA has been kind of like a little weird lately because of like the fans not being able to be there.
Yeah.
It is really weird. But the Sixers are playing they're playing some damn good basketball. So I really don't have a lot of complaints.
Yeah.
About the Sixers. But past Sixers, yeah, I'll give you all I got.
Oh.
I wanted to ask you, Basketball Reference today came out with the new top 10 MVP ladder. And for some reason, they didn't include Joel Embiid. So my question to you is, since we have so much left in the season, I think Embiid is going to be gone for a while, right?
At least a couple more weeks.
Yeah, at least a couple more weeks. Is he able to climb back in that MVP race? And do you think he's still top 5?
Top 5 players or centers?
Top 5 MVP in
Well,
MVP.
who's the top 5 MVP that they released? Maybe that's gonna help first.
The top 5. Well, let me look it
Because I
up.
know Jokic was #1, right? Giannis was probably in there too. James Harden was probably in there, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. And okay, it's okay, I got it right here. So we got number 1 Jokic, number 2 James Harden, number 3 Giannis, number 4 Kawhi, number 5 Lillard, and then we got LeBron at 6, Luka at 7, Gobert at 8, Mitchell at 9, and Chris Paul at 10. They didn't even have him in the top 10.
Mm. Um, I probably would have been mad if I put that $10 bet down for Embiid to win MVP, and he wasn't even like in the top 5 at the end of the season. But I can kind of understand it when it comes to like injuries or whatever. MVP, if you get hurt like late in the season, I don't really know if they should, count that.
Yeah.
You played most of the season, but something like this, I would like to see if Embiid can't win it, Jokic would be cool because then at least you see like the return of the bigs.
Yeah.
Facts. Yes.
That would be really cool to see him. Jokic is like talented as hell. I gotta be honest, like it's times I watch Jokic and just to be unbiased, he is at times he's better than Joel. Specifically because I think his shot is a little more wet.
Yeah.
But Joe's got that post game.
Yeah.
And then Jokic can pass. He can pass his ass. And B's got like some passing skills too. But yeah, if Joe comes back, I like to see him come back. I like to see him win that MVP. I think he could.
Yeah.
But hopefully that the Sixers don't miss him, like not miss him so much, but they're playing so well without him. Hopefully they don't really skip a beat when he comes back.
Yeah.
Hopefully that doesn't mess things up. But they got Mike Scott playing center the past 2 games, so I don't think that'll. Yeah, they'll be welcoming him back like crazy.
Yeah.
Wait, so did you watch the? This is a dumb question because I'm pretty sure you did watch this game. So you saw Dwight Howard get the text right on Montrezl Harrell.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on with these referees, and why is this like? I watched the clip, and he just went like this. Was there any contact? Like, what's been going on?
I think they knew he was trying to like egg him on. I don't know if I saw the warning.
Yeah.
If they gave him a warning. The other thing is to eject somebody over something stupid like that is a little, at least it wasn't a playoff game, and they did that.
Yeah.
If they had like a pre-existing, like issue with each other, and they knew about that, that makes sense. But as far as I know, him and Harold don't have anything. The sad part is that knowing that it's Dwight Howard, I don't want this to sound funny, but you almost have to hope to God that they don't have like some weird sexual tension because Dwight with his like previous suspiciousness. So you never know what's going on with them two.
Dwight Howard. I mean, AJ is onto something. Dwight Howard did like tear a muscle in his butt cheeks or some gluteus maximus. I don't know how they said it in a PC way, politically correct way, but he did have some ass like injury.
Yeah, it was weird.
So I mean, you may be onto something there, man.
There's only one way to tear a buttock muscle. All right, let's move on.
And Dwight, and look, one day when you get a chance, look his wife up, his current like fiance. She is gorgeous. I think she's a WNBA player. I don't know what constitutes as a star in the WNBA, really. I don't think she's a star, but she's like, I know she plays. I think she's a PG, and I don't know if she plays well or not, but she's very pretty. She works hard as hell.
Yeah,
So.
So my next question would be, so you guys have Embiid out, right? As soon as I found out that he was injured, I'm automatically thinking, okay, you guys still have Dwight Howard. You guys still have a big who's a legit 7-footer, can block shots, rebound. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's Dwight Howard. We saw what he did with the Lakers. So having him is still, obviously it's not Embiid level, but it's still a good guy to kind of fill that spot until Embiid comes back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So would you rather have? Yeah. So would you rather have him starting or Mike Scott? And Assuming this is an easy answer.
I think they're in like a little bit of a pickle because they traded Tony Bradley. Which is funny because I'm almost positive. I could be wrong, but I think they got Tony Bradley from Oklahoma City and then traded him back to Oklahoma City. So it was either Oklahoma City or like Detroit, but I feel like it was Oklahoma City. But anyway, Tony Bradley was actually pretty good as a backup. I think the way that Doc Rivers explained it is he doesn't want Dwight Howard to lose his like him coming out of that role as the backup center. So he's trying to keep him like that instead of using him as the starting center even when Embiid is hurt. He wants to maintain that backup center role with him, which I'm not going to argue with Doc Rivers. He knows best, and it's actually working out pretty good. Mike Scott will stretch the floor defensively. If he goes up against like a top dog center, he's gonna get his ass busted every time.
Barbecue chicken, yeah.
Yeah, he ain't gonna. But like tonight, he's going against Zubats, which is like Zubats is not a bad center at all. But Mike Scott is like he's a vet. He's been a vet long enough that he probably knows how to handle him somewhat.
Yeah.
You know.
What was I gonna say? So the next thing I wanted to ask you about is, I made an observation earlier in the year on why Sixers basketball is working so much better this year than in years before. And I was saying the reason it hasn't been working in years before is because of Ben Simmons clogging the paint with Joel Embiid or whatever center they had in, and that just doesn't work because then you have defenders crowding Ben Simmons. But now the Sixers have a lineup where they can have four shooters out there so that you can have everybody spaced out and have Ben Simmons go ISO with no big man going in. Do you think that having four shooters in the lineup pretty much at all times is the reason to their success, or do you think it's Doc Rivers, or what do you think it is?
I think it's a little bit of both, which is like a good point. It's a little bit of both. If you notice, and see, this is like kind of like coming back around to the Brett Brown issue, where you kind of feel bad for Brett because one of the seasons where the Sixers had a lot of success with Ben and Joel out there, because like they've always said, you got to trade one of them; they don't work together.
Yeah.
Is when they had Bellinelli and Ilyasova out there with
Yeah.
Sarge was shooting also, and even though Robert Covington, who I love, even though he does not deserve the love that he gets sometimes, he was still, I guess, like a threat. He was going to put it up.
Yeah.
And that was when they had their best seasons when you spaced the floor out for them guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, that team, this team is a lot better. And then JJ Redick was on that team also. This team is a lot better shooting wise. Because even like they talk about Seth Curry saying like the Sixers should have traded him or something because he wasn't playing that well. First of all, he had COVID. I don't know about you guys. I had COVID.
Yeah.
And when I finally got rid of COVID, I still had like respiratory issues. I had breathing issues. I got it from work. So I still had breathing trouble, walking around or whatever, and even taking showers and stuff. So like I know Seth probably he might have still had respiratory issues after that. And it's not really about if he gets into the playoffs and like him and Danny Green aren't shooting worth a damn, okay. But like right now, you need shooting around those two guys because you have to space the floor because you know damn well Ben ain't gonna shoot it.
Yeah.
So
What's
you
the
need
nickname you give him?
Benny 1 point. So Benny 1 point. Which is, I've let up on Ben a little bit, man. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not as hard on Ben anymore. But yeah, both of that has to do a lot. And you know what? Something you didn't mention too, that coaching staff in general, that like, that assistant coach tree. And what's messed up is they're gonna lose one of those guys after this year. Even if they win or not. Sam Cassell is probably going to get, picked off by somebody. And I think he's helped Ben Simmons a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, those shooters, Doc Rivers, and definitely that coaching tree that they have right now has a lot to do with their success, without a doubt.
You said you've gone easy on Ben. I'm gonna be straight up. I don't care. I do not like Ben Simmons. I really do not. And I want to ask you a legitimate question.
Hmm.
Has LaMelo Ball improved more in this season than in Ben Simmons has his whole career?
Yeah,
Ex-
yeah.
From a 76ers fan, you heard it, folks. Listen, for everyone, and I wanted to read these stats off to you. Okay, this is in Ben's rookie season. He averaged 15.8 points a game. As a
Hmm.
4-year player, three-time All-Star, he averages 15.9 points per game. That's a zero point 0.1 point per game increase from his rookie year. That's garbage. Uh,
Yeah.
he went down from 8.1 rebounds to 8.0 rebounds. His assists went down from 8.2 to 7.7. I I don't even think he's the second best player on the team. Would you agree with me then, AJ, or no? Do you think he's the second best?
Um,
I
that's
would say
that's
Tobias,
hard.
because
Who?
I would say Tobias Harris is the second best on the team because Tobias.
Okay, yeah. He improved.
Yeah, Tobias Harris has been
Yeah.
hooping, but real quick, to kind of piggyback off of what you guys were saying, Doc Rivers and Tobias Harris jumped on two different podcasts, and they said one thing that happened as soon as the season started was that Doc Rivers established everybody's role. And one
Mm.
thing he told Ben Simmons is, "Yo, like we're not gonna expect you to be shooting. We're not gonna expect you to do all this stuff. You are the point guard. You're gonna play like a point guard." And he was telling Tobias Harris, "Do what you did when you were with me on the Clippers, right?" So I think earlier what you were saying is because they Doc Rivers used to coach
He's having
Tobias Harris.
identical stats to his Clippers, if not better. He's
Exactly.
more efficient right now,
Exactly.
shooting better.
Exactly. And I think a big part of that is Doc Rivers. So what Tobias Harris was saying was Doc Rivers was telling me, I need to go back to I think it was a pick and roll action that I used to do on the Clippers. Basically similar kind of stuff that he was doing with the Clippers. Which is also why Tobias Harris has been hooping, man. He's been having a really, really good season.
Yeah.
This season, I think Tobias Harris is the second best player. But in terms of overall talent, I'm taking Benny 1 point.
What
I can understand it.
what what do you think? Do you think Ben Simmons is the second or Tobias is the second?
I think what he's saying is correct. Yeah, talent wise, Simmons has like a fear. It's obvious. He's not going to say it. He's not going to admit it. It is a little disturbing at times when they ask him about that. He says like, "I made the All Star team. I made like all NBA, whatever." He starts like putting his achievements out there, and that's cool. But you still haven't won a title yet,
Yeah.
which is supposed to be like the ultimate goal. And you got like Embiid, and like at one point I was like, well, maybe it's because like his hands are too big, or he's like too strong or something. But Embiid is bigger than him, and he shoots. I think he's having his best year shooting the ball.
Yeah.
But Tobias, yeah, like for whatever reason, Tobias Harris and Doc Rivers are like, I don't know, man. Like they got something going on. It's almost like Tobias is his actual son. It's really weird. But yeah, but I'm not mad at Ben. I think what Doc Rivers did with Ben Simmons was incredibly smart because he knows. I think it's one of those situations he doesn't really want to like piss him off or deter him to the point where he doesn't like him as a coach and they have like a friction between each other. But at the same time, he knows what he is and he doesn't want to shoot the ball. So
Yeah.
also Ben Simmons in high school shot the ball. If you look at his
Yeah.
highlights with D'Angelo Russell, he shot mid range, he shot threes. I don't know if like maybe his sister kicked his ass or something like that and made fun of him for shooting threes because his sister, I know his sister used to play ball in college,
Yeah.
and every once in a while, now that she got that check from him, she makes fun of him now every
Yeah.
once in a while when she gets a chance. She takes jabs at him. Before she got that check, she was just mad at him, saying, where's my money at? Now she's a little different, but
What was
Listen,
it?
we could speculate as much as we want about the reason why Ben Simmons won't shoot the ball, but I think we can all agree it's one reason: the Kardashian curse, sir.
yeah,
Kardashian.
The Kardashian
Oh,
curse is
yeah,
real, ladies
yeah,
and gentlemen.
I can
It
see
is
that.
what and what was I gonna say? Since we're out here speculating about why people can't shoot, I remember you used to have some conspiracies on Markel Fultz. You want to tell the people. You're shaking. For those listening, he's shaking his head right now. He can't believe he doesn't even want to go back on those days. But I'm gonna bring it back for the people.
Riding this dirt bike like it's no one's business.
Markel Fultz, what do you think happened? Well, first explain what was told, what happened, and what you think happened.
There was a guy who said that he was riding like a four wheeler or a dirt bike down like I-95 or something like that. And I don't know, coming off an exit or something, he had an accident at some point. And since then, he was messed up, which it would kind of make sense if it was something like that because I know those guys have clauses in their contracts that they're not allowed to do certain things. And apparently, to NBA insiders and the scouts and everything, it's well known that he likes BMX bikes, like extreme sports when it comes to like biking and all of that.
Yeah.
I believe it. He never said that. And he had like some weird situation with his life period because I know these guys are young and they're coming into a lot of money really quickly. And a lot of them, they had these situations where when they start off living with family. Like I think I want to say it was Drew Holiday was still living with his grandmother
Yeah.
when he came into the league, or he had his grandmother move in with him. He was like 19 or something, as just to have somebody. And even Emmanuel Mudiay, he had some of his family moved with him to China when he went, so that he wasn't there by himself. But Markel's mom supposedly had. The rumor is she had cameras set up in his apartment or his house, so that she could like watch everything that he did. I don't know if that was true, and that was in like a legitimate article by a reputable newspaper, which was just the weirdest thing to me.
Wow.
But I think he didn't want to tell people about him having this accident because it could have messed with his contract and his money. And ever since, because something doesn't make sense that when you watch Markel Fultz in summer league, and I understand summer league it's summer league. It's not to a lot of people, it's not as competitive as it is once you actually get into the actual NBA, and that's true. But shooting the ball is shooting the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he was shooting the ball in summer league. Once he got into the NBA, like the way he looked in summer league, he looked like that in college. That was who they drafted. He looked good. Got to the NBA, he was not shooting the ball at all, and it made no sense.
That's
There's a J. Cole line where he says
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what it was. It was basically referring to Markel's shot and how they messed it up, and he's like, "Stay
Yep.
solid" or something like that. And then he mentioned
Yep.
Dennis Smith right after that. So you
Yep.
might be onto something there.
Yeah, and J. Cole said something like they messed my boy shot up. I know, like, keep your head up. I'm like, who the hell messed up Markel? Like, I think he's looking at it like somebody working with him tried to change his
that's what they were
shooting
saying.
motion.
They
Yeah.
That
were
was the other thing, yeah.
they were saying that like he had a trainer that for
Mm-hmm.
some reason tried to give him another form and that
Yep.
messed with him psychologically. And like if you're an NBA caliber player, you're going to be training like an NBA caliber player. And if you're an NBA caliber player, you latch on to things quickly and it's hard for you to forget things once you learn them, because you always
Yeah.
get emotions very quickly. So if you're learning how to shoot, get a new shot, that's something you learn and you never forget. Like that messes with you for a long
Bro,
time.
LeVar Ball was saying, um, I swear this will make sense, but LeVar Ball was saying they were asking him about LaMelo and how when he first came into the league and when he first started playing in overseas or wherever, how his shot was really whack. And LeVar's like, it doesn't matter. Like his shot goes in, it's wet, it's effective in the NBA. You see it now. So like to
Yeah.
your point exactly, like if your shot, no matter how ugly it is, no matter like Rick Barry was taking underhand free throws, right? Was it Rick or Brent? Whatever the father is.
Rick Barry.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
shooting underhand free throws and cashing them, and he has the highest free throw percentage. So like that alone
No,
should be should be a reason why like the form doesn't
Wilt
matter
started
already.
doing that.
Yeah,
Wilt had a problem shooting free throws, and he started trying to shoot underhanded. I think he was taking lessons from Barry to
Yeah.
yeah.
try to become a better free throw shooter. Yo, he was going to a therapist, I think, to try to
Well,
shoot better.
Well,
Yeah, he started going to a therapist. He was saying that in one of his interviews.
Since you brought up Wilt, I'm gonna bring up this thing we always talk about. I slander Bill Russell all the time because
Hmm.
I think when you compare him to Wilt, it's not even a debate. What do you do? Wilt versus Bill Russell as individual players. Who are you taking?
In today's NBA,
Both. And back then and then today.
man, I think you got to take Wilt because of his height and his athleticism.
Yeah.
Bill Russell, when you see like the few highlights that they have of him from like the damn Stone Age, um, Bill Russell was like smooth, going coast to coast
Yeah.
and everything. He was good that way. But like I would probably get the crap kicked out of me in Philly for saying this by like the old heads.
Yeah.
I really feel like Wilt Chamberlain in today's NBA is possibly like Rudy Gobert on his best day.
Yeah. That's a
Like
good
his
point.
game.
Oh,
That's a
You know what
great
I'm saying?
analogy.
okay.
And y'all don't know Sonny Hill. Sonny Hill was like a PA legend in basketball. He knew Kobe. Kobe loved him, and all those guys. Wilt knew him. Sonny would beat the hell out of me for saying. And Sonny's like 80 years old. He would kick my ass for saying that. But I really feel like that's what he in today's because like Wilt was competitive, and even though like Shaq was saying what he said, Wilt was in the shape Wilt was in was by far beyond what Rudy Gobert. As crazy as that sounds. So yeah, like I think his game is still the same though as Rudy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Defensively like that.
Dang. I mean, yeah, that's I don't blame you. I always hate on Bill Russell because this man had Hall of Famers on his bench. He averaged, I think, 11 points a game for his career. If he played in today's NBA, he's not averaging what more than 3 points a game. Like, there's
His
no way.
possibility. Yeah, is
Whatever.
possible. But
Uh,
I
Bill,
mean, he ain't no Jerry West, Jamil.
I
oh
hate
man,
Jerry West wouldn't even make it past middle school basketball. Okay,
oh
listen.
Yo, Jimmy hates on Jerry West more than anything. He does not. He thinks Jerry West would not make a high school varsity team right
AJ,
currently.
let me ask you this: have you ever seen any footage of Jerry West play?
I've seen some footage.
Have you seen how he dribbles? He dribbles only with one hand. And even when he's running left, he dribbles with his right hand and he's like crouching the whole time. He's never at like a full sprint and he pulls up from the corner of the free throw line all the time. I'm saying today, I don't even think he's making D3 basketball like
This man
that.
hating
Talk
on the
about
damn
being able to
logo.
dribble with two hands. Are you serious?
And he's our logo, man.
He's
That
our
must really,
logo.
Man
yeah, it
hating on
must
the
really
logo.
set you off. I mean, isn't he the only guy though to ever be on a losing team in
And
a
win
championship
MVP.
series? Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
won the
So should have been LeBron, even though as much as I hate him, Iguodala shouldn't have got that, man. Come on now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it shouldn't have
Yeah,
been it.
he,
It should have been Curry.
Why, man? Don't you love that widow's peak on his head?
hell nah, man. Get that guy. So I'm so tired of Andre Iguodala.
Why?
I don't like. Yeah, I'm almost positive. Iguodala had an interview. You can look this up. When he left Philly, he had this whole thing. He was talking about Iverson, like basically Philadelphia will love you if you're like a murderer or like a criminal, but as long as you're winning, they'll love you. But if you're like a good guy or whatever, they hate you for it. And Sixers traded Drew Holiday. He had to say something about that. Which like did that trade work out in hindsight? Not really, but the Sixers weren't going anywhere at that point anyway. And if Iguodala was really that guy, he at one point he was getting paid. I'm almost positive as much as LeBron. Like his annual
What?
salary
In the
was as
NBA,
much as LeBron.
Iguodala like that guy, man.
Yeah, and he is not like I say the same thing about Ben Simmons with defense. I said the Kush, if Ben Simmons is actually the defender that he says he is, right? And I do believe Ben is a good defender, but if you're saying I'm the best defensive player in the NBA, because of the way like the game is, the pace of the game, you're not going to hold guys from getting their shots like stars.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like Kevin Durant, if they play the Nets in a series, Durant, you're not going to stop him.
Yeah.
But him and Ben match up, right?
Yeah.
He should stop Ben. I mean, Ben should be able to hold him to like, if you're that defender, between like 15 to 20 points in a game.
Yeah.
Or at least make his shots a little more difficult.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not saying to hold him to like 0 points. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Like, you know, yeah.
I'm
15, 20 points for him.
I'm looking at Iguodala's stats right now. One, he's never averaged more than 20 points a game. But two, and I think this is the craziest thing possibly I've ever seen on the history of this podcast. In 2011, 2012, he was an all-star. He averaged,
Okay.
he averaged 12.4 points a game.
Yeah.
What? What?
Yeah. He was getting paid like a star.
Those are bench numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe this.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
talks so much smack about Iverson sometimes. You know he has an issue with him. Like, you know he has an issue with him. You know? And they could have been good together. They could have been a great duo.
Yeah.
Iguodala's just weird like that, man.
Whatever, man. Anyway, I wanted to ask about some key pickups before we move on to our funner part of the podcast. So, who do you think won the trade deadline? Do you think the Bulls won more or the Heat won more? Because the Heat got Oladipo for literally nothing, but the Bulls got a second All-Star.
Who the Bulls get again? Just so I can
The Bulls
remember.
got Vucevic from Orlando. We gave up two players. It was I think it was
Wendell Carter.
Wendell Carter and Satoransky, I think.
No, not Satoransky.
It was Otto Porter.
It was Otto Porto and Wendell Carter and then 2 first-round picks.
Yeah.
Those first round picks are a little suspicious.
Yeah.
Coming from Chicago, I don't know if I would really want to give up 2 first rounders. But Nick is contract control. I think Vucevic should definitely be like a top 5 center. Like, he should be considered.
Yeah.
So like going there, I think that's a great move for Chicago. The sad part is like, because of like how the politics of the NBA, it's hard seeing him win a championship. Like, I really want to see him win one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do think the Bulls won that. Oladipo is such a question mark. You don't know if is Oladipo even really going to play the whole season out?
The thing with
You
like
know?
Oladipo, I get he's a really good player and he's talented, but I don't see his value. Like I don't like he's to me he's not that special, right? Like I feel like he's not going to be that guy who's going to help Jimmy out get 20 to 25 a game. He may get 10 to 15 in the playoffs. Hopefully he proves me wrong, but I don't think the Heat really won that trade.
Thing is, Oladipo, in order for him to succeed, he needs to be the man on the team. Right now, the man needs to be Jimmy or Bam, depending on the game. So he's going to need to be a guy where when they pass him the ball, he must score, but he can't be that ball hog that is just holding the ball, trying to set up plays and stuff. I don't know.
I see him as a broke man's Jimmy Butler, basically. A little more athletic.
Probably not as good as a defender.
That's true, yeah. So I should. Yeah.
But he is, I mean, Oladipo is good, especially if he heats up. He's going to be an issue. The problem is like, I mean, you're not effective if you ain't playing. And I think that's why they said a lot of teams really didn't want to trade for him because they're suspicious about his knee. I think he still has a knee issue.
Back in Indiana, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, which is exactly what the Sixers should have did with that damn Andrew Bynum when people were suspicious about his knee. But no, they said, yeah, let's just get him anyway. But yeah, Oladipo, they should have turned around on that. I don't know about that trade. And Houston has some talent on that team, and it's weird how they suck so bad. You know,
It doesn't make any sense to me.
it doesn't. It really doesn't.
Well, they had Christian Wood. Christian Wood was injured for a while. They were on a win streak. Christian Wood was out, and he might still be out. I don't know if he came back or not, but they had lost like 15 or 16 straight, and then they extended it to like 20 straight losses or something like that.
If you look at it on paper, they had, I mean, not a super team, but they had a solid, big three, even big four when they had Boogie.
Yeah, where's he
So
at?
they gave him up. He's a free agent, I think, technically, right?
Uh, Let me see. DeMarcus Cousins.
Oh, they released his ass,
His career might be over.
and which is really sad because he
He's still a
was.
part of Houston right now.
See,
Yeah, he might. His career might be over because of them injuries.
and which is really sad, bro, because he was,
He's
Yeah.
talented.
bro,
Yeah.
he was easy dropping 50 balls, man, on Sacramento.
Oh yeah.
This is how you knew Golden State was gonna suck when he joined the team.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I forget what I was just saying, but yeah, basically I think Chicago won that the trade deadline. I meant to say that before.
Yeah.
Chicago did a really good job.
For sure. Okay.
We're recording this on what's today, Saturday.
Yeah.
Lamarcus Aldridge to the Nets. In addition to Blake Griffin, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, DeAndre Jordan, Jeff Green, Iman Shumpert. Like,
Joe Harris.
just when you think that that team is stacked, they just continue to get more All Stars. That is insane. What do you guys think?
I mean, personally, I'm LeBron's number one hater. I am jumping for joy. I love this. I'm not obviously it's unfair. It is the most unfair thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Case of his own medicine.
Yeah. It's the second most unfair thing actually. Number 1 was LeBron going to Miami making that super team. Whatever. Um this is it's getting ridiculous, but if they don't win a championship, they all need to retire. Every single person on that roster. They need to retire, give it up. I don't know. What do you think, AJ? You think this is too much, or do you think this is an even matchup for LeBron now?
They're not that far away from retirement. Like
Yeah.
LaMarcus Aldridge is like 36.
Yeah.
If LaMarcus Aldridge was what Kevin Love turned himself into for the sake of LeBron, that's different.
Yeah.
That's a different situation. If he became like a stretch five, I guess, if he's
Yeah.
starting, he's playing a five. That's cool. Blake Griffin is no telling what he's going to be able to give you. Because like if you watch his gameplay with the Nets right now, even with him catching them oops and stuff, he does not look like the same Blake Griffin. He
Yeah.
looks a little like he's having slight trouble getting up. He looks like Vince Carter did in like his last 2 years in the NBA.
Us.
You know what I mean? Like you can
Had
tell he
trouble
still
getting
got
up.
knee issues. Yeah, and I mean Blake was a great player. He had one season in Detroit. He looked really good, especially like they had him handling the ball coming up the floor and everything, like he was a point forward. But those two are so old. You know what I mean? Like if they were like Tim Duncan type players, okay, but Blake relies too much on athleticism to be great,
Yeah.
and it's just not there no more. So you don't even know how well them two are gonna hold up come playoffs. You know what I mean?
That's true.
And you know what James is like. James basically got like 2K padded stats, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's a really great basketball player, but I don't really like watching him play. Like Kyrie, I like watching Kyrie play. Even though a lot of people don't like Kyrie, Kyrie's game is special.
It's
You
smooth.
know, it's real smooth. It's nice. His handle is like. I actually think Kyrie's handle is nicer than AI's, which is saying a lot.
I was gonna ask you that earlier. Like, I was gonna ask you who you think has better handles, but I would agree. I would say Kyrie has the best handles ever.
Kyrie is just nasty. Like he is like he's different. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like he's just different. But James is like he can say whatever he wants. Like James is too much finesse / bully ball for what he tries to do. Like you see James on the playground, you're like, damn, he's nice. Like that's stuff he could get away with in the playground. But like in the NBA, they're not letting people. Real quick story: Jeremy Grant when he was on the Sixers, I never seen anything like it in my life. He was guarding James Harden, and there was like a 5 foot gap between Jeremy Grant and James Harden. They called a damn foul on Jeremy Grant. I mean, like stuff like that. It makes you not like James Harden.
Yeah.
It
I
makes
I,
no sense.
I don't respect his game that much because of how much he goes out of his way to try and get fouls.
Yeah.
That's
I
another
think
one.
he's phenomenal talent, man. But to you guys' point, it's the way he plays. It just makes me so upset. Like he's a really good offensive player, one of the best we've ever seen. But for him to use the bullshit calls to his advantage is smart, but also petty.
Yeah, it's
He
annoying.
playing ass. Yeah.
Um,
He don't show up in the playoffs.
I
James
was
Harden.
yeah,
yeah,
yep,
very
Yeah.
saying
well.
the same thing earlier. Yep,
They don't give him the same calls like that once he gets deep in the playoffs.
Mhm.
facts. And he
Not
doesn't
getting the same
learn.
love.
He doesn't learn. He does it every year. And I remember me and you've talked about this before, where like way back, he used to do the same thing, and he's costed his team championship runs, man, when they had good teams. Like,
Yep. Yeah. Anyway, so I wanted to, we're gonna do a quick start bench cut. Pretty self-explanatory game. Give you three players: start, bench, or cut them. We got Ben Simmons, all in their primes. They're at their very best. Ben Simmons, Steve Nash, and Jason Kidd.
Mm. I'm gonna start Nash because I like Nash's shot. Nash got that jumper. I just messed up. I'm going bench Kid, and I'm gonna have to cut Benny 1 point.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. Okay, Kyle Korver, Jason Terry, or Iguodala.
you snuck that in real quick.
Cutting nigga dollar. I'm I'm starting Terry, and Corver is benched.
I would
I don't
switch
even.
that. Put Korver, then Terry, then Iguodala.
Man,
Iguodala's cut.
Jason Terry with the Mavericks, bro. When he got the Larry OB tatted on his bicep before they even won the championship.
He did.
That's usually an omen.
Yes,
Yeah, that's usually a
Yes.
bad omen.
yes.
But yeah, it worked in his favor.
Dude, he got it tatted before the playoffs even started and said we're winning a championship. And this man balled out that series. Actually, he balled
Well,
out. He balled out. I remember in the Lakers. I don't know how he did in the other series, but I know in the finals he was killing the Heat,
yeah, I remember.
killing them. And somebody was mentioning. Sorry, we're going off topic and stuff, but
Okay.
somebody mentioned if you look up his stats in the finals, he low key had better numbers than Dirk Nowitzki in that final series. And people argue that he should have won MVP.
Woo.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
What? How do I? Let's see. Jason Terry, finals stats. Um.
Versus Dirk Nowitzki.
Okay, not even close. No, Dirk Nowitzki was averaging 26 points a game. Jason Terry was 18 though. Um.
No, somebody was mentioning that he low key played better.
I mean, overall, probably
Efficiency.
yeah, probably more efficient. But no, that's definitely crazy. Anyway, let's move on to our final segment. We're gonna do an all-time 76ers draft. It's gonna be a
Mm.
draft. So it's gonna be AJ, me, Ibrahim, and then Ibrahim gets two picks, and it goes back to the front where AJ you get two picks. So
So I dropped a link if you want to look at it. But us, you being an all time Sixers fan, you could probably do this off the dome.
Probably so.
yeah. Okay. So AJ, you get first pick. Who you picking for your first person on your team?
My first pick, I'm picking. You won't be surprised. I'm going to pick Moses Malone.
Okay.
Hey, yo, Moses Malone. This
Arguably the
man,
best player.
this man, I forgot who was telling the story, but this man used to take one of his rookies to a certain strip club. I don't know where, I forgot, but he used to take him to a strip club a lot. And he would say, we're going to the strip club because they have the best buffet in town. And the rookie was like, Moses, so you're telling me if this place didn't have the best buffet, you wouldn't go? He's like, no, man, the buffet is just a perk. I go to the strip club for, obvious reasons. So,
Fair enough.
How many? How do you think Lou Williams found out about?
Yeah, he's
He
back
was
there
that
now.
rookie.
Yeah. Was it Magic City or Dub City? What was it? I don't know.
Magic City.
City
The
Wings,
wings look
baby.
good. They
That's
looked good.
yeah, it did. Dude, that food looked really good. I low key want to get that food, just for the food. Anyway, I'm gonna take Allen Iverson. All right,
oh,
AJ,
man,
two picks.
I'm taking
I already know who you're taking.
Dr. J
Ooh.
and whew, And Wilt the Stilt.
Ew.
Okay. Not gonna lie, I have no idea who this Billy Cunningham guy is, but
He was a coach at one time for the Sixers
solid,
too.
solid stats. 5 All
Hmm.
Stars. I'm gonna take Billy Cunningham.
Okay, I'm gonna because it's like this. I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench in Abe's picks because this is Doc's man. I'm gonna take Jones, Bobby
Bobby
Jones.
Jones.
Ooh, and
Yo,
you also
Bobby
get
Jones
another
is a
pick.
good defender, man.
Yup.
Yeah.
Yeah, you also get another pick, AJ, because it's a snake draft.
Okay, I'm gonna take I'm blanking on his name, but his nickname was the Boston Strangler. What the hell was his name?
Let me see. Boston Strangler.
Um. Oh man,
Andrew Toney,
Andrew Toney. I'm gonna take Andrew Toney. Thank you.
two-time All-Star Hall of Fame, the Boston Strangler.
I need I need some shooting on my team. Andrew Toney.
You got to do with the nickname Boston Strangler, bro. She.
Jeez.
Yup.
Okay. Now I'm gonna take Embiid.
Ooh. Okay.
You got size, Jimmy. All right, I'm gonna take Daryl Dawkins.
Mm.
Ooh,
Um, I really want to pick up Maurice Cheeks. I really
Mm.
do. I am gonna go with Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons. I'm gonna go Doug Collins.
Ooh. You better not have him coaching the team.
Nah, nah, Chief. Definitely not.
I want to take this is you know what? Let me get I'm not gonna pick Eric Snow. Let me get Charles Barkley. I get two picks.
Oh, I forgot Barkley.
Let me get Barkley. I get two
Ooh,
picks, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
Um, let me get
Damn, bro, you got a
Barkley,
big
and
ass lineup.
then let me get it's gonna sound crazy, but let me get JJ Redick
Man, bro, you have a big ass
Ooh,
lineup.
and JJ Redick as well.
just to put some shooting, some more shooting in there. I don't have no ball handlers though. I was told that when Andrew Toney was asked to point guard, that's when they ruined his career. Billy Cunningham ruined his career asking him to play the one. That he was a pure shooting guard, and he ruined him that way. So I can't have Andrew play the one,
Hmm,
but he'll be okay.
He
Yeah.
averaged 16 a game in his career, which really isn't bad back in the 80s.
damn.
Andrew Toney.
Yeah, shot 50% from the field, 30,
Mm-hmm.
34% for career and threes. Not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, I am actually gonna go with this guy has some crazy stats. Hal Greer. This man averaged
Oh
40
yeah.
points a game for like 10 seasons.
My grandmother met him.
What?
Oh, really?
Yeah, she met him. She met him because my grandmother was she's an insurance agent, and I think she insured him and his wife. She had to go to his house and meet him and everything. Shit, his house was really nice, and they were really nice people. So, uh, he's dead now. I'm pretty sure. I think
I don't know why I laughed.
he's old. He's an old guy, man.
R.I.P. Hal Greer.
All right, Abe. You
Uh,
got the last two picks.
closing this out. No, I only need one more. I'm closing this out with shit. Did I pick up Daryl Dawkins already? Yeah, I did. You know what? I'm gonna go with Jimmy Butler.
Ooh,
Ooh.
that's a nice pick.
Buckets. I was gonna go with Tobias Harris, but
I
he,
am
Jimmy Buckets is the man, bro.
I'm gonna go with another Hall of Famer. Looking at his stats, he was also a beast. George
F5, my guy.
McGinnis. I have five?
Yeah, bro. You
Oh,
Oh, do I thought I? All right, whatever.
You have AI, Billy Cunningham, and beat Doug Collins and Hale Greer.
Oh, okay, for sure.
So the teams are AJ got a big ass lineup, bro, and that Barkley pickup was huge. I completely blinked out on Barkley, but you got Moses Malone, Bobby Jones, Andrew Toney, the Boston Strangler, Charles Barkley, and JJ Redick, who is really really good shooter and having a great career still. He got traded to the Mavs, which is a
I
nice
was
pickup for
mad
him.
about that. I'm pissed at Kush about that. He was supposed to get bought out and he's supposed to sign back with us, but Kush ruined that. He did that on purpose.
Tobias Harris jumped on his podcast, JJ Redick's podcast, this week
Mhm.
and was saying the same thing. He said, "I'm not gonna get on your podcast until you are with our team." And JJ Redick was basically like
Yep.
saying that he was gonna be on their team eventually. He was kind of throwing hints out there. But Jamil, you got AI, Billy Cunningham, Joel Embiid, Doug Collins, and Hale Greer. And I got Dr. J, Wilt Chamberlain, Daryl Dawkins, Ben Simmons, and Jimmy Buckets.
Then will be a good point guard with that team.
Yeah.
Is this essentially the end of the podcast?
Yes,
Sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have one thing about the process error.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, real quick. The process error was actually not, it was awful, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was somewhat fun. I think it's insane that Brett Brown was able to get more out of those like low budget players
Yeah.
than he could get out of his stars. It was the craziest thing. It was actually kind of fun seeing them guys battle night, especially like when they had games when they played well, like Michael Carter Williams on that night they played against the Heat.
They
Yeah.
broke
That
their
was
streak.
crazy. Yeah,
They
Yeah.
broke
that
their
was
streak.
insane.
Yeah.
And I always feel bad for Brett because like they got this guy racking up these losses. They said one of the quotes from that weirdo Hanky, he put out that he had like a manifesto when he got fired. For what reason I don't know.
Man.
He had like a 12-page manifesto for whatever reason prepared when he got fired that he put out to the media. And Hanky essentially said that Brown was hired to rack up all the losses, and when they were ready, that they were going to try to get Jay Wright to coach the Sixers. So
Huh.
knowing that they set you up for failure, that's awful. And people who like I always hear like certain people talk about the process error and the Sixers, and I'm like, hey, don't tell me I sat through it. So like I get to complain about Brett, but you don't. Brett was a decent coach. He'd probably be a great college coach. He's probably like a better assistant coach in the NBA. He's not a head coach in the NBA, which is sad.
For sure.
But the process error, in a way, it's slightly sad for the Sixers because they got this win now mentality and stuff. You got two young players, like two of the younger stars in the NBA. Let them guys work out. You know what I mean? Like you shouldn't be rushing to try to like win a title just yet. I think some of their issue is the fact that they're afraid they might not be able to re-sign both these guys in the future or something like that.
Yeah.
Mm.
But the Sixers are in a good place. And honestly, I'm hoping that the Bulls get better too because we're coming in a time where I'm tired of all the hate on the East. It's
Yeah.
annoying. I'm so
Yep.
sick and tired. Nobody can explain why the West is so much better than the East, but they constantly say the West is better than the East. No one gives you an explanation. They're just better. And I'm tired of the hate. And I just want to see the East doing well. And people want to see the Bulls back in their glory days, man.
Yep.
So I'm glad that the Bulls are making, they got some new front office guys. They got a couple picks probably. And then they got, Vucevic. Hopefully he does well because I want to see Nick do well. Like,
Yep.
sadly an ex-Sixer, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And stupid ass, what's Doug Collins, for whatever reason, refused to play this man in the playoffs. And he was a much better center than Spencer Hawes just because he was a rookie.
Spencer Hawes
So
garbage.
terrible. So yeah.
So
Well,
do you
hopefully,
think the process was a success, seeing where they are right now?
no,
Really?
because if you think about it, the Sixers tanked for like 5 or 6 years. This is luck. Markelle Fultz threw a monkey wrench in everything. This right here, what they have is luck. out of like 6, 7 years of throwing games, they came out of that with Ben Simmons. And if you came out of there with like John Morant and Embiid and somebody else, okay, I get that.
Yeah.
Ben is a really, yeah. And Ben is a good player, and his talent is like limitless. He's afraid of himself.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, not really, because like 6, 7 years, and you came out of there with all of these picks. Jahlil Okafor was a fail. I don't even blame the Sixers. And real quick, not to like prolong it, but I don't totally blame the Sixers for Andrew Bynum. Like the process had to be kicked into gear because Bynum was such a catastrophic, like, abomination. They had no choice but to start like, all right, let's kick it into plan B. Because when Hanky first got here, that was his plan. He traded Iguodala to get rid of that contract. Stupid ass traded Nikolai Vucevic. That hurts. But then he traded for Andrew Bynum, and Bynum was supposed to be good. Who knew Andrew Bynum was going to be insane?
Yeah.
How could you know that?
Didn't you guys get him back? Didn't you guys end up getting him back after his Lakers career? Or is that what you're talking about?
Possibly. He was still young when they traded for him. Andrew Bynum was like 24 years old or something like that.
I remember when he came back, right? And he had all them different haircuts. Remember he had more haircuts than games played?
He was out for the whole season.
Yeah.
His first season with the Sixers. I'm going to be honest with you, man. Thinking about it, I don't think he ever played a game with the Sixers.
He never did.
He played for the Cavaliers.
Yeah. He ended with Cleveland. He ended with Cleveland, and then in the same season, he ended with Indiana.
Yeah. He never played a game for the Sixers. Jason Richardson did. He was a part of that deal. That deal with Andrew. Well, one of them deals that they made. But yeah, was the process a success? I mean, possibly. But they had to fix this mess somehow. You know what I mean? To get 2 star players out of like 5 or 6 top 3 picks.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I get that. All right. Well, it was an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast today, AJ. I really appreciate it. You brought your 100% amazing basketball IQ on for all of us today. Taught us all some good lessons about the process. But what
unfiltered Sixers talk.
Yeah.
I'm glad y'all got this podcast. I hope I hope you guys do really well with this podcast. And shame on Kush for falling asleep. Being an old man today, man. Like Kush would have been awesome on this podcast. Hopefully, we do another one and Kush can come, because it would have been a nice back and forth with Kush about the Mavericks and stuff.
Sure.
Run it back. Yeah, we'll definitely run this back.
We'll definitely run it back with Kush. But yeah, thank you for listening to the Climate Podcast, everyone. Good night.